Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. I get that this isn't anywhere close to St. Patrick's Day, but we are recording this closer to St. Patrick's Day. The date of recording is March 15th, just because this upcoming weekend I'm going to be pretty busy, so we can't really record. So, my name is Xavier Dean, and with me is our guest host, Darby O'Gill of the Little People.
How do you do?
Now, Darby, I gotta ask, what happened to Jake?
Oh, well, you see, we had a nice little conversation, and now he's just sitting in the corner like a good lad. He's doing just fine.
He's doing just fine? All right. All right, just as long as you don't feed him too much. Don't feed him after midnight. He ends up becoming green and grotesque, like a
He's
gremlin.
already green because of his name.
That is true. That is true. So, also, just a quick heads up, right now it is kind of storming, so you may hear some thunder on my side. I'm not sure about on your side, Darby.
Well, I don't know. The storms never bothered me.
Storms never bothered you? All right, that's good. I'm gonna take these sunglasses off because I've got blue eyes and, well, no, because that's not gonna do anything. But I see a lot better with just my glasses. So, for this topic, Darby, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, you see, since I apparently have access to the lad's computer, I decided that I wanted to boast about myself today. We're going to be talking about the what in the heck a leprechaun is,
All right,
and
so
also discuss some things pertaining to the leprechauns.
what is a leprechaun, Darby?
Well, to help me with my explanation, I have the History Channel website pulled up about the Jolly Leprechaun's sinister origins.
Okay.
We will be reading the entire article, but we'll be putting down some major points that I think get scraped to the bottom side, especially nowadays. Because when you think about it, America has this fantasy-like perspective about the leprechauns, or portrayed nowadays as these jolly green fellows that appear on the box of your Lucky Charms cereal. Not
Lucky.
saying that's a bad thing. It's
No.
also a bad thing to assume that all we care about is gold. On the contrary, we care nothing but gold. Screw the rest of the world.
Well, what about ale? Don't you drink Irish ale?
Has to be more specific. It's not like I drink liquor wherever I see it.
Uh, well, I was gonna ask if you wanted to go to the bar after this. I pay.
Eh, I might consider it. Although considering that it's daylight right now, it'd be hard for me to escape. More explanation on that in a bit.
All right, that's fair.
But
Uh,
anyways,
so Darby, what is a leprechaun?
well, a leprechaun actually comes from a different variety of different words from different Gaelic languages. So the word leprechaun comes from leprechaun in Irish and lucarpon in Old Irish means small body or lobrekin, which translates to small body fellow. In ancient Celtic mythology, leprechauns hail from the Ailse, a supernatural race similar to elves and fairies. I'm
Oh,
not sure what's more insulting, the fact that we're compared to elves and fairies. Actually, that might be the only insulting thing, because when you think about it, every leprechaun is short. We're all the same. There's not much of a height difference between us, anyways.
hmm.
But elves and fairies, though, like elves got pointed ears, and so do fairies, and fairies have wings. You ever seen a leprechaun with wings?
Um, once, though they weren't real wings. They were chicken wings. You wouldn't want to share.
Yeah, but they're on because we got rid of them when they were trying to overpopulate.
Mm,
Anyways, so The racist beings, which include leprechauns, banshees, and shape-shifting goblins called pukas, were thought to be descendants of the Tuthra de Danann, ancient Irish gods living in an alternate realm, according to medieval Mosaic 2 by Leigh Tassie and Leon Taylor. Early folktales depicted leprechauns as wily, somewhat menacing male cobblers who hid their treasures. They were portrayed as cunning and untrustworthy tricksters who were often mean, delighted in leading people astray, stealing, or playing harmful pranks.
Mm.
And I can say this is definitely true. And if you've ever seen the movie Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which is my namesake, by the way, I'm named after the man who found the leprechauns.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Connor O'Brien is my great, 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 great grandfather.
Okay.
Anyways, so among the earliest tales is the medieval 7th or 8th century tale, The Adventure of Fergus, son of Letty, which depicts leprechauns as dangerous water sprites who try to drag the mythical King Fergus into the sea to drown him. But the king captures them and forces the creatures to grant him 3 wishes for their release.
Hmm. What
So
were
if you think about it,
wishes?
we're kind of like genies, except in large quantities.
Ah.
I mean,
So what I'm hearing is I have to trap you so I can get a buttload of money.
you could try, but more on that in a minute.
Okay.
Anyways, so now we start to getting to how the leprechaun's image starts improving because early on we're just depicted as like little goblins that just hide and steal treasures and deceive people. I mean, we do that still, but we do it with grace, you know? Anyways, as Ireland moved into the 19th century, the image of the leprechaun softened, with the newer stories about the creatures changing them into mischievous and enterprising figures who outsmart greedy humans trying to get their gold. In the 1887 book Ancient Legends, Mystic Charms, and Superstitions of Ireland, Jane Francisca Agnes, Lady Wilde, Oscar Wilde's mother, describes leprechauns as merry, industrious, tricksy little sprites. But she also finds them vengeful and bitterly malicious if they are offended. That is most definitely true. You do not ever want to offend a leprechaun whatsoever.
Ah. All right. You know, that's fair. That's fair. I've seen the movie Leprechaun with Warwick Davis. Really don't want to deal with that situation.
And if you see Darby O'Gill and the little people, you know what happens when you mess with a leprechaun.
I actually haven't seen that. What happens when you mess with the leprechaun?
You fall into the bottom of the well and then you get trapped in the leprechaun's den until you find a way to get out. If you find a way out.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna be easy. If I end up falling in and get trapped, I just gotta trap one of you, and then get my 3 wishes. And have one of my wishes be, get me out of here.
Granted.
Exactly.
All right. Moving on. Excuse my pronunciation. D.R. McAnleys Jr.'s Irish Wonders, believed to have written in the late 19th century, described the leprechaun as being a low descent, his father being an evil spirit, and his mother being a degenerate fairy. So this is basically the Irish version of Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Nice.
Its pranks were typically minor household mishaps, such as causing a pot to boil over, drinking all the milk, or stealing bacon. McAnley writes, bacon. I could use some bacon after this.
I could too.
All right. Tom McCroft and Croker's 1825 collection, Fairy Legends and Traditions of the South of Ireland, includes the story of the Little Shoe, where a man encounters a little fellow cobbling shoes, complete with his little bit of an apron on him, and his hammer in his hand, and a little red nightcap on his head. The man sneaks up on the leprechaun, whistling as he works and demands his purse, but the leprechaun cleverly tricks the man into letting him go and escapes, leaving behind only the prettiest little shoe.
Nice.
And
What kind
then
of shoe was it?
hmm?
What kind of shoe was it? Was it a clog? Was it a boot? Was it a glass slipper?
Don't be ridiculous. It was red slippers.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And moving on, William Butler Yeats, 1888, Fairy and Folk Tales of Ireland, describes leprechauns as withered, old, and solitary cobblers known for their practical jokes and hitting gold. The leprechaun, Yeats writes, is even sitting under a hedge mending a shoe, and one who catches him can make him deliver up his crocks of gold, for he is a miser of great wealth. But if you take your eyes off him, the creature vanishes like smoke. This is probably what I consider to be the very first leprechaun trap, if you will.
Okay. So what I'm hearing
Trap,
is I just have to keep watching you so you don't disappear.
or you just have a very nice pair of shoes. I don't know.
Mm, that's true. I just bought new ones, so got some.
All right, now moving on to the American portion of this discussion. Between 1845 and 1855, 1.8 million Irish immigrants arrived in America, creating large communities and faced widespread poverty and discrimination. The challenges led Irish Americans to embrace their traditions and folklore, including the leprechaun, which quickly became a Celtic pride symbol. Man, I feel honored.
Well, you should. You should. It's not every day where people decide that there's a national holiday for you where they get to drink a bunch of like good beer and dye city rivers green.
And barf in the cities of Chicago.
That's true. Yep. Yep. Also, it gives us an excuse to pinch anyone who's not wearing our favorite colors. Green.
Definitely, my lad. Definitely. Americans began to feature the leprechaun at St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and by the early 20th century, leprechauns were associated with all things Irish and good luck, becoming embedded in popular culture. Perhaps the most prominent example is Lucky the Leprechaun, who debuted in March 17th, 1964. Hey, that's our day, St. Patrick's Day, as the mascot of the Lucky Charms cereal. "'Tis luck to catch that leprechaun," an advertisement for the cereal announces, but nobody can. Of course, if they did, they catch my Lucky Charms. More recently, building leprechaun traps has become a popular St. Patrick's Day family craft project.
Yeah, I remember in elementary school, we used to make these small leprechaun traps using milk, and depending on it was weird. It was we would put milk in a bag, and there's like a special dye that would change color overnight. And if it changes from yellow to, or if it changes from white to yellow, it means a leprechaun came. If it just changed to green, a leprechaun did not come. I never got a yellow bag.
Mm.
My traps never worked.
The playful, whimsical leprechaun image made big screen appearances in films like 1948, The Luck of the Irish, Disney's 1959 Darby O'Gill and the Little People. I feel honored.
Hmm.
And the 1968 Fred Astaire musical Finian's Rainbow.
Yep.
More recently, the Leprechaun horror movie franchise that began in 1993 features a creature who goes on murder sprees after his gold is stolen, reviving the Leprechaun's historical menacing portrayal.
Yep, that's the one
Wow.
I just mentioned. And then I do remember there was also a Disney Channel original movie called Luck of the Irish involving a kid finding out that he is of leprechaun descent and has to play basketball with all of that.
I remember that too.
Yep.
In the U.S. world of sports, the University of Notre Dame's Fighting Irish teams adopted the Leprechaun as the school's official mascot in 1965. The Boston Celtics introduced its Lucky the Leprechaun mascot in 1968.
Hmm.
Quick side note about that: Jacob's brother-in-law actually graduated from the University of Notre Dame.
Oh,
He
cool.
got to go to quite a few football games. If only you can hear him say it himself.
Uh, how's he doing in the corner back there?
It's best not to check on him.
Ah, okay. That's fair.
Edward O'Donnell in 1001 Things Everyone Should Know About Irish American History points out that modern leprechaun has strayed far from its original Irish mythological roots and now represents a lovable but ultimately contemptible stereotypical character.
Uh,
And for our last section here, back in Ireland, brief belief in leprechauns persists in a tongue-in-cheek manner. In 1958, the New York Times reported that Irish President Eamon de Valera's government was forced to decide whether to punish some government workers for refusing to fence in land they believed to be a fairy palace or little people that must not be desecrated. In the
mm,
country's Cooley Mountains, the peak of Slieve Foy was declared a designated area of protection for flora, fauna, wild animals, and little people. I feel honored.
mhm.
In
We love it.
2010, in 2010, a European Union directive requiring national governments to delineate biodiverse areas for fauna and flora protection. The addition of little people to the declaration came after the tale of a leprechaun's suit and bones were found there, according to the Irish Independent. The account inspired the decree and the area's annual Carlingford National Leprechaun Hunt.
Hmm. All right.
And that's pretty much a brief summary of our story.
Cool.
But now to feature some souvenirs.
Ooh.
So the lad Jake has made many leprechaun traps over the years, back when he was a wee lad. And one of the souvenirs that he collected from one of my fellows that escaped one of his traps is this little thing right here. It's called a shillelagh,
Oh,
and I will beat your ass with it.
mine or his?
Yours.
Mine. Well, you gotta get to me first.
I can get to you in a whip and a crackle.
Oh, I'd like to see it try.
Anyways, but this is a shillelagh. Shillelagh is basically a wooden walking stick and club or cudgel, typically made from a stout, knotty black thorn stick with a large knob at the top. It is associated with Ireland and Irish folklore. And as you can see, it's perfect for whipping my horses and for uh and for all my leprechaun friends that try to steal my throne, which happens twice a week.
Hmm. Yeah. Wait, where's your throne right now?
I have a good friend that's reserving it.
Ah, okay. You
He
sure they
basically
steal
looks
it?
like he basically looks like me, but he's not as smart as me, so he's probably dead by now.
Oh, so okay, makes sense. I mean, we've all got a friend like that.
Definitely, definitely, of course.
Yeah.
And now, just to share real quick, excuse me, my little hands are not used to pressing all these fingers.
Okay.
Just to share some leprechaun traps. Of course, there are many that have been made throughout the years, but to show you some of the ones that we all remember. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's go for this one. This one is a hat with a pot of gold at the top. The hat, we climb on the ladder, and then the hat goes whoop, down.
Okay. Well, that's a,
Of course, I've been trapped in a couple myself, but
alright.
no one has ever been able to trap me out.
Mm,
And my apologies, real quick, because
alright. Now, is it true that silver is also an effective tool? Or not silver, iron. Because I know in a lot of fairy culture, iron is very harmful to, fairy folk and adjacent creatures.
if you give us iron, we'll beat your ass with it.
Ah, okay. Well, there goes that horseshoe. Unfortunately.
Anyways, a lot of these leprechaun traps are different forms of rainbows and clouds and gold and little boxes. There have been many made throughout the years. Few are clever, but none can trap a leprechaun. None
Mm,
have. Sometimes we leave notes behind saying that you catch us, and we leave green dust behind.
ah.
Don't ask where that green dust comes from, though.
Well, now I kind of want to. I'll take your word for it, but I might do some personal research after this.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, of course. But anyways, that's all I have to talk about in terms of the leprechaun. I hope you learned a little bit of history. Now I
Oh,
need to go check up on the lad real quick. Wait, where did he go?
hmm.
Where did he go? Where did he go? Hey, Darby, what?
All right. So while this is all going on, I guess I gotta start talking just pure nonsense. If you haven't noticed from the last episode, I have a little website underneath with the stories from the previous episode and a couple more that I've created throughout. Um, yeah. Hey, Darby, Jake, everything okay over there?
Ah, finally,
Huh?
got rid of the little bastard.
Oh, how'd you do that?
I just gave him some gold and he left.
What? That's it?
Yeah, pretty easy to trick if you ask me.
Wait, hold on. Where'd you get the gold? Oh, hold on.
Every man has to keep his secrets.
How many pieces of gold did you take?
Why does that matter?
Because I'm missing some.
Hmm,
I'm missing some gold.
I don't know. Was it your gold to begin with?
Yes,
Hmm. Maybe it
kind
was
of.
Darby's.
We're not gonna go into the details, but yes, I wanted it more. So, all right. Well, Jake, just missed it. We were just talking about Irish culture, leprechauns, leprechaun
Oh no,
trap.
I was listening to pretty much the whole thing.
Oh, all right, cool. So, do you have anything to add to this? Since considering it is your topic, he was just looking at some of your notes, added
Well,
to his arguably more accurate history.
yeah. Well, just to point out because it's like, I grew up with Irish culture for most of my entire life. Still
Mhm.
part of my entire life. If those ramblings of Irish ghost stories are anything to prove.
Mhm.
But I think it's fun to go over like some of the things that people don't know about. But that goes for a lot of things, because in America we have this way of like whitewashing a lot of things.
I mean, I
When it
mean,
comes to
used to.
folk
I'd say
tales.
nowadays, that's not as big of a problem considering.
But it was a problem back then, you know.
Oh yeah,
That's the thing. Because it was like years of like trying to make it more um I don't want to say American, but um more family conscious as possible.
well, I mean, it doesn't help that back in the 1800s during the first Great Immigration, when a lot of people came to America, it was all about, okay, cool, you're bringing your culture, but now we're going to change things so that it matches more for your culture.
Like pizza.
Pizza was always American, except for Hawaiian pizza. That is
Mm.
Canadian.
I mean, the pizza that we have today is pretty much American, but it is an Italian dish.
Is it?
Yeah, because it was made with a different approach back then. Maybe that could be a discussion for another time.
Maybe. Maybe. We talk about that almost every time. How we'll talk about something and we'll be like, "Oh, that's a topic for another time." But we never go back to that topic. You ever notice that?
Maybe I have. Maybe even before we started this podcast.
Hmm. What's that supposed to mean?
Hmm, I don't know. You were really prodding me to do this podcast in the first place.
What do you mean I was prodding you to do this podcast in the first place?
I don't know.
Dude, it was something that you and I both agreed on.
Was it?
Yes. Well,
Hmm.
to be fair, we only had this main idea because coworkers brought it up to us. But that was still something that both of us wanted to do.
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe there was a reason I did take that gold.
Well, hold on. Are you upset that we're doing a podcast?
Am I?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah,
Hmm.
point out you got the easy end of this. You just have to wake up, record, sometimes come up with an episode title, and make the music. I've got everything else pretty much. I made the logo. I'm the one who has to do all the editing. I've got to make the descriptions. I've got to schedule the posts. I've got to do all that. You just got to show up.
Yeah, that's true. But that's the modern work mentality nowadays is the bare minimum.
Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? So that's why you forgot about the time. Because if you notice, I actually wrote down our times for recording. You texted me little over, a little over an hour before our recording asking for an earlier time because you forgot what time we said. And then opted for the time we originally had, even though I would have been perfectly fine with the earlier time.
Oh no, man. And keep in mind, I had a gig the night before we recorded this episode, and I have gigs a lot.
Okay, I've got stuff too. Dude, I have disc golf leagues. I've got actual work. You're in school. I've got a full-time job. I do a bunch of side hustles.
I got my own side hustles too, you know.
Yeah. I've got a sister who's a senior in high school, so I gotta go around helping things.
I got six nieces and nephews, and when they come around, it's a storm, so I gotta help out.
But that is when they come around. I live with my family, so mine's constant.
Mm.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You're arguing about this podcast and the fact that you don't really have the time. We are working on trying to figure out a perfect time for each other.
That is absolutely true. But but time is a very wide spectrum. Sometimes my life feels like it's a very wide temporal void where everything else is still in my space, but everything else is moving.
What? I'm not even sure if that made sense.
Does it have to make sense? After all, it's nothing Zilch nada.
Well, apparently it is, because apparently you've had an issue with this entire time and didn't bother telling me.
Eh,
Like, what the hell? I mean, it's not like we really need to run this. I mean, I've got other things I could do with my Saturdays. Or not Saturdays, Sundays. In fact, I turned down going disc golfing with my father just because we are recording.
hmm.
Like,
All your choice, man.
yeah, but we already made this commitment.
Mm.
Gone this far already. Like, how long have you been feeling this?
Longer than we've been starting this podcast.
What? So wait, it's been 3 years? You've been feeling this way for 3 years,
Maybe.
and you didn't bother once telling me.
Mm. I don't know. We were kind of split for a while,
That doesn't mean we don't stop talking. Dude, you have my number.
and you have my number.
Yeah. Like I said, as far as I knew, we didn't really have any problems.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I had my own problems going on during that time span.
Yeah, so did I. I had a dog that died. There was a
So
time
did
when I thought
I.
that I wasn't even going in the right direction with my life. That's why we had that initial stop.
Mhm.
Do you still want to do this?
Should we?
I don't know. At this point, I don't really want to. I mean, if you're not all in on it, why should I?
Why should any of us? Who wants to listen to us talk about nerdy topics?
We have our demographics.
Mm,
And honestly, your topics
maybe,
tend to get a lot more views than my topics do. I mean,
man.
if you look at our Pokemon rankings, that Ben 10 ranking, that had a lot of views.
Mm, what if it's just the same person watching the same videos?
Are you watching the videos over and over again? I
I don't
think that
know.
makes way too much sense now.
Maybe Darby O'Gill has. In fact, there's a reason why had him. I had him where I faked being kidnapped by him to begin with. Sorry, what?
Well, hold on. So you chose because I fully thought that this was a genuine skit we would have. You just didn't want to be a part of the recording,
Pretty much.
dude. Just tell me these things. We could have stopped it at any time. We could have made an episode just to stop it. I
Mm,
could have started a podcast with my father because he and I have been talking about stuff like that. And
mm.
we decided not to because you and I had a podcast.
Who knows? Who knows where the future heads?
Fuck are you trying to say? You know what? This makes no sense. You know, we're gonna continue this after I press stop recording because I'm just, I'm just frustrated. All right. We'll be back next week, folks. Have a wonderful day.